This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Don't underestimate
the power
of a single
conversation.
It could change your whole life.
INCRadio Chatline.
conversations that matter.
Everyone, thanks for tuning into Chatline. And today we're going to be talking about how to tell other people to care or to love us, which is, I feel, like something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. EJ, I have my friend EJ with me this
I
evening
love
talking
that.
about this topic, and I'm Tony for those who might be tuning in for the first time. But I'm really excited for this topic just because it's been on my mind for a while. That idea of telling people how to care for you and how to love you. Have you encountered this concept on social media at all, EJ?
Well, my feed on social media includes a lot of like a lot of discussions on communication. So I
Mm,
think I would say it's on a lot of different things on like broader topic. Like it's a broader
yeah.
topic in general, but I would say like this is part of it. Like telling other people how to care for you, or how you want to receive the care and the love. Right? It's
Yeah.
like part of it.
Yeah, for sure. It's something that I've seen come up a bit on social media. And it's just something that I've been thinking about in general, just because me personally, I don't think I've ever been good about telling people how I like to be cared for.
Is anyone
Because I'm,
that good?
say that again.
Is anyone good at telling like telling people how to-
Well, the reason why I say that is because at times I've realized this about myself, that I can be an overgiver. I don't give
Mhm,
people the opportunity to kind of care for me or to love me in that sense. I don't know if
mhm,
if you understand what I mean by that. So like a perfect scenario is, let's say, in a friendship, like us as friends, right? I'm
mhm,
the one that is constantly the one looking out for you, the one that's constantly taking care of you. But when it comes opportunity for you to help me, I'm just like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Don't
mhm.
worry about it. I got it. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So it's,
I've encountered that.
yeah, it's only been lately that I'm realizing, I think I can do a little bit better in communicating it and actually stating what my needs are, what are things. And that's really what brought on this topic, is because in general, it it might be difficult for those who are listening to kind of tell somebody, I think I like to be cared for this way and not the way that you've been doing. I feel like that's weird to talk about, right? But it kind of helps,
Is-
I think.
mm.
No?
I would say the discomfort comes from like like you worry about like being like a burden to others, to
Yeah,
people. Like for me, that's why I hesitate to tell people. Like
yeah,
like
agree.
that's why I hesitate to tell people. Like uh, I like getting compliments too. I like getting praise when I do something good. Yeah, I like that too. I like that too. But it makes me feel like if I tell people that, like it makes me feel conceited. But
Aw.
you don't know how much when I like, let's say when I make something, like when I cook food, when I like make a graphic design or anything, and someone compliments it, it makes my entire day. But like even when I'm it makes my entire day, but I don't show it in my face. I don't show it in like how I try to be cool about it. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like it was it was inspiration, but I'm like yes. And I hesitate to tell people that because there's this sort of like association of like like I can't, like I feel like it makes me look conceited if like
Mm,
if I overreact like that, or if I tell
What?
people,
Really?
or if I tell people, like, hey, I want to be praised as well. If I'm doing something good, I want to hear thank you as well. If I like, I do enjoy that. I do enjoy it, but like, I don't like telling people that, 'cause like, it makes me feel like I'm helping them just to hear thank you.
You know what? I feel like that's kind of why sometimes in any kind of relationship, a lot of the time we hope that people just know. We hope
Mhm.
that people just know what we want, that they just will get, or they'll know right away, like, oh, they picked up on that. I feel like we kind of look for that in people sometimes,
It's
that people
funny
will
you
just
mentioned
know
that,
already.
Tony. It's funny you mentioned that, because that's me before. That was me before, like, just expecting people to kind of like know it right away. And see, the thing is that I neglected. It's like, not like they weren't there with that conversation I had with myself. Like, they couldn't hear that conversation I was having with myself about what I want. They don't know that, they can't hear that, but then I'm expecting them to know from that conversation that they weren't a part of, you know like, they didn't hear it, I didn't communicate it to them, but because I had that conversation in my head that this is what I want, and then just sort of just like, I'm placing this expectation now on them because of that
Yeah.
conversation I had in my head, you know and like, it disappoints me when they don't get it, because it's like, like, and that's the thing I neglected that they weren't even part of the conversation, they weren't hearing what I was saying to myself, you know
Yeah, a lot of it is kind of the inner conversation that, "Oh, you didn't know that I wanted you to pick up that thing because I was having a hard day." Like, you didn't
I
know.
was telling
Like,
myself, oh, I don't like seeing, socks on the ground. You're
yeah.
like, you're having that conversation in your head. They're like, how was your day?
It's like, "You should know this already." Like, "Don't you know this already?" No, actually, no, because sometimes people are in their own little world. I know I can be that
Mhm.
way. Sometimes I can be, dense, or just not. If you have an off day and you're not really, paying attention, sometimes you even the normal things that you do in your routine, you might slip up, and then you're just like, oh, yeah, I forgot you didn't like that, or yeah, I forgot you don't appreciate those kinds of, jokes, or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
So going back to communication, I feel like a lot of this stuff, especially on social media, what they tackle is surrounding communication, and this is one of the things I think that, um I won't generalize, but it seems to be, we're no experts on here, but it just seems to be that we struggle with communicating this specifically, like teaching other people, like, oh, can you care for me this way? Like, what are ways that you feel cared for? AJ, let me start there. Like, what are ways that other people, like the things that they do, it makes you feel cared for and loved?
And like, I don't know if this makes me very low maintenance. And also, like, I'm just happy when people remember me.
Aw.
Like, I'm just happy when someone just checks up on me, like, especially if it's the effect is greater if it's someone that I haven't talked to in a while, and they're just kind of like, hey man, like, hey man, I was thinking of you, and I hope you're doing okay, or like, they're like, like, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing today? Or they just send me a meme, like, just like, when someone remembers me, it's like, it does make me feel loved and cared for. Like, yeah, you know what? I'm grateful for you for sending me this meme that you thought you thought I would find funny, or like, thank you for
Mm-hmm.
checking up on me. Like, it makes me feel. I would say, in terms of like the bare minimum, like, for me, that's it. Like, just being remembered. Like, I already feel cared for and loved already
Is there
in that
something that
sense.
people do that makes you not feel cared for, but they do it thinking that you feel cared for, if I'm making sense?
Mm. I'm trying to think of like something like people they do that they think makes me feel cared for, but
But it
oh,
actually doesn't. Reverse effect.
Yeah, like
Reverse Uno.
this is more niche. This is more niche. Like when I'm venting to someone, and I think we've talked about this before, and I think we've come up with with something like there. I forgot which emoji it was, but we've come up with like a certain emoji, and we're like, okay, if you need to vent, you don't need me to help you solve this
Yeah.
problem. You just need to
Yeah.
vent. Put this emoji, and so I know that you're just venting. You know, you're not like for me. That's why I'm saying it's very niche because when when I'm just venting to someone, you know, and we don't like me and other people, we don't have that arrangement of this like this word or this emoji that we're gonna use if I'm like if either one of us is venting, and they try to solve like the problem that I'm venting about, you know. And I
Yeah.
feel like, and I know my part in not really communicating it, but there's also that aspect of like I feel like they're not really getting the discomfort of me like you know, like, stop trying to solve it. I'm just I'm just telling you because what ends up happening is they give me a solution and I kind of make an excuse why their solution doesn't work. You know, and
Mm,
I feel like they're not getting it. And maybe in their mind they're helping me, you know, but in my mind it's like I feel like the better way you could help me is just listening, you know, instead of
yeah.
trying to solve it because it makes me feel uncomfortable when they try to solve it. You know?
I don't think that's niche to you, EJ, to be I mean, the emoji thing, I think that part is niche, but I've heard that a lot with a lot of my friends that sometimes they just need the space. Sometimes they just need the space to kind of speak without judgment, without, the problem solver, the nagging or whatever it may be. Sometimes they just need the space. And what's
Mhm.
helped me in my friendships, my relationships, is to kind of put that in the beginning, whether it's sending an emoji, whether it's telling somebody, "Hey, I'm about to vent. I just
Mhm.
need the space to vent. I would really appreciate it if you just listen right now and just react, and no other expectations. You don't have to say anything. I just need the space to talk about something." And when you can frame it that way, it's so much more helpful later on so that you don't run into that situation, because then also that can also give the other person opportunity to let you know that if that's your intention, they can be like, "I would love to listen to you, but right now I'm not in the best headspace for a
Mhm.
vent session," right? Because sometimes what's happened to me is that, let's say I'm the one receiving the vent.
Mhm.
And because of the nature of me wanting to be there for my friend and to show them that I love them, I want to show up and end up responding to them. But I'm already feeling like crap, right?
Mhm.
Because of prior things from the day. And then me not having that opportunity to kind of know that this person is about to vent, they just start like messaging. And then we get into this whole conversation. And then it's like 10, 15 messages into the conversation, things start getting a little more heated, or there's some kind of
Mhm.
back and forth. I start problem solving because I don't have patience for the conversation, right? Sometimes that's what it is. Like when someone vents to you,
Yeah.
you want to get to the solution right away. Like, okay,
Mhm.
let's solve this so it could be done with. I don't want you to suffer. I don't want you to be going through this hard thing. Let's just solve it. But then that's not what the person was looking for. So it's like on
Mhm.
both ends, right? It's kind of, you're teaching the other person how to care for you in that moment, and then the other person also has to be receptive to that, like, okay, this is how, like, don't force your way of how you want to show them that you care for them. If they're telling you already this is how they need to be cared for, then try to give that, with, of course, room for knowing when that care is just kind of like not coming from a good place too, like just
Mhm.
validating for the sake of validating. Like, I don't like agreeing just for the sake of agreeing. Like, I'll listen to you, but I won't agree with everything that you're saying just because you want me to agree. Like that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Like validating their, like you said, like validating them, right? Like
Yeah.
validating them to validate them, just to kind of just like, okay, I'm agreeing with you. Cheer up now. Like you're not. That's the moment where you're not kind of like you're not in the right headspace, and yeah, you're just trying to like, and it's funny that you said, like you're trying to speed run your way to a solution, right? In a way, so you're trying to solve their problem. It's like you want to help, but you're not in the headspace to help. You're like
Hmm.
you don't want them to suffer, but you feel like you don't have the time to help them. So you're just kind of like, okay, what's your problem? Let's find a solution.
Yeah.
That's all. But not knowing that actually kind of makes them feel like uncomfortable to even approach you, right? And it affects like
Hmm.
future moments where they might need someone to vent to and they feel like they can't really approach me. So like, like, oh, the last time I tried to vent, I tried to tell this other person, like kind of just like get my feelings like out there. Last time I
Yeah.
tried that, it just made me even more stressed out, even more uncomfortable.
Hmm.
They don't want to do that anymore. And you kind of miss out on that opportunity to kind of like communicate. And like for me, I know that's also like I complain about it, but that's also kind of like my a big thing about me is that even when the other person has already told me that they're just venting, there's just that instinct at the back of my head that kind of
Yeah.
goes, but have you tried this?
Yeah.
You know, like there's that thing in the back of my head that's kind of like giving me solutions, and I'm like, I wonder if it'll help them if I say this.
I feel like that's just because naturally that's just the care that's kicking in. That it is instinct, but I would go a step further to say that's just care for the person kind of manifesting in that way, which is fine. Like it's fine to have the solution start to start to collect in your head and be like, yeah, like that's something that you could probably bring up at some point, but maybe not right in that moment when the person is already kind of asking from you something else. You know what I mean? Because it makes me think almost of, the you can make someone feel loved in your way, but maybe the way that they're receiving it is not quite the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
And that's where
let's
the whole
say,
communication has to come in to kind
mhm.
of be like, hey, which is hard. And my next question was going to be to ask you why you think it's hard to kind of communicate what we actually need or what we actually want. Because for me, it's always been hard because I don't know how they're going to react. Like, I don't know how they're going to react to me saying, I don't actually want this. This is what I want. Like, I'm the person where I I would appreciate more FaceTime, quality time
Mhm.
versus gifts, but sometimes gifts are a lot easier for people and I get that. But at the same time, it's like, but if you really wanted to show me that you care for me, like the quality time is what I'm after, that kind of thing. But sometimes
Mhm.
it's hard to say that because that, yeah, I feel like
You
it's
feel like you're
a
burdening the person, right? Because
almost,
you
yeah.
already know that the way that they're kind of like showing their care and love for you, it's like it's the way that they're the most comfortable with.
Yeah.
And like again, like it's what you said, like you worry. Like for one of the things I'm worrying about is like one being a burden to them, and another thing is like what if it's something that they're not comfortable with, right?
Hmm.
Like let's say for you, let's say yours is quality time, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the way that makes you feel cared and loved for, like spending quality time. But maybe that person is like, like they're kind of like hectic and busy,
Yeah.
like,
Schedule.
and with like they have 100 things to do every day, and they want to give that to you, but then they're sort of like thinking, okay, like you're afraid of them having to kind of like disassemble and reassemble their entire schedule to fit it
No, but
to your own.
I feel like we overthink it a little bit though, just
Mhm,
because when we mention things that what we want, I'll only speak for myself, but
mhm,
let's say in saying or stating something that I want, like what speaking to what you just said, your mind kind of starts to run like, oh, they're gonna think that I'm asking too much from them, or I'm being too
mhm,
much, or we start to have that kind of thinking or that kind of dialogue in our head. But a lot of the time, what I've realized with people that we care about, they want to show you that they love you. They want to show
Mm-hmm.
you and they want to show up for you. So in order to kind of to get to that point, it's gonna need more than just assumptions or just observations. It's going to need conversations sometimes. Like conversations of, maybe we could do this instead, or offering alternatives, or being able to kind of, you have to work through it. And I feel like with any kind of relationship, whether it's, I can only speak for the relationships that I have. So I'll speak on like friendships, or even familial relationships, like my relationship with my mom. I've had lots of conversations with her where I'm like, mom, I can see where you're coming from on what you're trying to, and I have to be really intentional about it because instinct is
Mm-hmm.
always like to be defensive. But I try to tell him like, I understand where you're trying to where you're coming from and trying to give me this advice, but my headspace is not there to receive it right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just need you to hear me out. And she respects that when she's like, okay, I can do that. And she'll adjust, but it's just that matter of being that slight uncomfortable moment of being able to say
Yeah,
like,
doing it so.
yeah, and just choosing your words wisely, I guess. Like if because I think we're also afraid of hurting people when we say like that's not what I want, or this isn't, I don't appreciate this. Like being able to say something uncomfortable is always a challenge. But if you can word it in a way where you're thankful, right? You put forward that gratitude first, like I'm super thankful that you're trying to do this, but that's not what I need right now.
Mhm.
And if you could show up in this way instead, that kind of thing,
Yeah,
kind of
that's the
sandwiching things
thing.
together.
Yeah, that's the thing with like giving versus receiving, right? Like for us, we want like for me, okay, like let's say between us, like I want you to be honest with me about like how you want to be cared for and loved. But when it comes to me telling you how I want to be cared for
Yeah,
and loved, I'm comfortable. Like
yeah,
but like especially if you've already helped me and like I go like I appreciate that, but that's not how like I want to be cared for, and I'm afraid of like seeing this reaction from you, like, oh, okay, okay, I'm sorry. I'm afraid of seeing that reaction, right? That reaction, or like an angry reaction, of like,
yeah,
why didn't you tell me earlier?
yeah.
I'm
We
afraid
didn't.
of
We
seeing that kind of reaction. You feel the reaction, but yeah, like there's that slight moment of discomfort where you hold your breath right after you tell them. You hold your breath to
Yeah,
wait for the reaction, and then you realize they're
that
the
was
same
not
as you.
that
They
bad.
also want to hear.
Yeah,
They're also waiting for you to tell them.
yeah. And this skill, I feel like it's not something that you can have overnight, especially for those who are listening. I'm sorry, I can't, for some reason I cannot open up the chat box right now. I think there are people that are commenting there. So greetings to everyone
Yes,
who's tuned in with us. But
great Jay
your input
actually
on this,
greeting us.
yes, J Esperanza, and I think I saw Jeff Fernandez too there, as well as PJ and I think it was Zenaida Novasteris. Thank you for
Yes.
tuning in with us. Um, just if you can, even those who are there, if you can share your insights with us, how you know, how this skill would help you in your life, being able to teach other people how to care for you, because it's a
Mhm.
hard, it can be challenging to get there. It's not an overnight thing. Why do you think that this would be beneficial for you in your life to be able to teach people how to care for you, EJ?
It's, I feel like in a way it kind of like like it makes your relationship with them deeper, right? In terms of
Mm,
like
depth.
building that space between you that's comfortable, right? Instead of like the space that it's comfortable, but then there's this sort of like tension from like let's say like knowing that when problems arise, there's this sort of tension between you because you're both trying to help each other in ways that you might that might not align with what you want,
Right.
and you just have this sort of like this tension between you because they're helping you in a way that they think shows that they love and care for you, and it does, it does because that's what feels genuine for them, but also it might not feel as genuine for you because like how you want to be cared for and love is different from like how,
Mhm.
and there's this like there's this still this sort of barrier between the two. So it helps for you to be able to communicate that because it kind of breaks down that barrier, right? Where you're kind of like more open with each other, right?
Mhm.
And I think further down the line, when misunderstandings arise, right? When disagreements come forward, because you're so open with each other about like communicating what you think, like it makes it a lot easier to solve disagreements, solve misunderstandings. To already kind of like establish that front of not that front. You establish that space. You establish that space of being honest with one another.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just say before we close out the show, I know it went by so fast, but at least in my experiences, what I've learned, just to add on to what you said, AJ, about depth, it when you're able to kind of learn more about people, and the more that you know them, the more that, I mean, you don't have to go into like deep childhood wounds to know a person, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
just being able to show up and being there, and then trying to work through caring for each other, right?
Mhm.
And making that communication strong, being able to do that with so many different people, you will be surprised um, how your relationships change. Like it's not just depth, but it creates such a safe space for people to be able to come to you and be able to be open. And I feel like in a world right now that just feels so disconnected because we're always like on our gadgets and our devices, that
Mhm.
there might be that tendency to feel closed off with everyone. If you can master this skill of being able to share, which is hard, it's just practicing. I think a lot of it is just practicing and trying to take a chance, especially with the people that are already you're close to. Like start with those first, and then work your way, because this skill is, I feel, has enriched my relationships even more in the time that I've been trying to work on it. So don't give up on trying to do it. Just keep trying until you get better at it, and you'll be surprised how your relationships will evolve, because the people that are in your life who are trying to show up for you, they're there because they love you. So give them that opportunity. They might not always know how, but they're trying.
Mhm.
So give them that opportunity to try. So hopefully everyone, you enjoyed and you learned something from today's broadcast. Anytime we talk about love and care, I'm always soft for that. So hope you can share this with someone that you care about, that's a friend to you, someone that you love. And we'll see you again, same time next week here on Chatline. Bye bye, everyone. Have a good night, day, whatever time you're watching.
What I ask, let me always dwell in the temple of the Lord till I